Hello there, welcome for this new tutorial on the next transcription, which is Run for Cover by Everette Harp with Marcus Miller live under the sky in '91. This has been one of my favorite solos when I just started playing. I think I was around 14-15 years old. I saw this YouTube video and I watched it probably a few 100 times or anything. It's really a great solo in terms of how he builds the solo with just a few patterns that really seems to grip the audience, and he develops on those patterns. So let's get started and let's see what he's doing here, because it's mainly a very rhythmic solo that is interesting here. Not so much the melodic content, although he also uses one thing I really like there, but the focus really here is on rhythm, because it's a really funky tune as you hear when you play it. And let's get started. So let's listen for a few bars and then let's see what he's doing here. Okay, so far enough. We can say quite a bit already on that. And this is something he knows to handle very well throughout this whole solo. He just mostly chooses 3 notes or 4 notes or maybe even 2 notes, but he makes a pattern with it and develops on 3 or 4 notes within the blues scale. And this is not only for saxophone players, of course. I hope also guitar players or other instrument players are listening, but for saxophone we are in C sharp minor. So this is a C sharp minor pentatonic or blues scale he mainly uses. So here you see him starting with this blues thing, but here already, and that's the only melodic variation he makes here, and certainly in the beginning, the A sharp, which gives a Dorian sound here. And as you can see, I divided it into 4 bars because that's how this music is structured. Then you can see he does always around the same bars here, the second bar of each 4 bars, that he goes to this A sharp and makes a really statement out of it. Like da 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 ba 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 da 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 da. Again, something else. Da, 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 ba, dee, da, da. It's kind of always with this E and with this A sharp and B. Here also, here no B, but A sharp and E. And then if you go even further down, here is also the A sharp. He really makes a thing out of it to say like, hey, I'm doing Dorian here. So that's cool in the beginning, I think. A very beautiful development of a pattern and of an idea, really. So let's listen to that again and really listen to that Dorian thing. We will start again from the start. Again, Dorian. So here you see this D, which is actually a really outside note because we are in C sharp minor, but it gives it a really nice, he was already using this Dorian like special note. So he uses a lot of pentatonic, but that sometimes he just adds the salt and pepper in terms of adding a few special notes. And that's something I like in Everette Harp. He's not just a pentatonic player only, he just mixes it up with a few interesting melodic points. And that brings us to one of his main themes. Like, he uses like I said in the beginning, 2 or 3 notes from the pentatonic scale. In this case, he uses root, 7th, and 5th. So C sharp, B, and G sharp are now the main notes he focuses on every 4 bars. You can see that here already. This is practically the same. And then he kind of, it's question and answer with himself. Like he makes the same kind of statement in the first bar, then 2 or 3 bars answering himself, then again that statement, then answer to his own statement. Again, with a little bit of a variation, but again, this B and C sharp here, like you see there. And then again, a kind of bluesy response to that. So let's listen to that. Response. Statement. Response again. Okay, so that's really cool. That's giving yourself a very clear structure to solo on, and this works very well in funk music, of course. If you hear the likes of Maceo Parker or Gerald Albright or all those funk guys, they use these kind of techniques to build tension in the solo. And as you will see later, it works very well. What also works very well is just displacements, simple displacements like he does here, like ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba. Works very effective here. And then he continues with his with a little bit of variation on the pattern he just used, but now it's still with the same notes, but with a little bit of a different rhythm to it. But as you will see, it's again, the pattern narrows down a bit here. So he used this new pattern with the same notes, and then 1 bar of something else, then that exact pattern again. Look at bar 37 here. Let me highlight it. This one and this one. And this is more, the bars in between are responses again. Then you have this, which is kind of the same as this, a bit of a variation with a longer response. And some of the responses are also the same here and here. And you will see this one here also. So he mixes it up, but you see this main statement here, here, here with a bit of a variation, here, here again, and then he develops on a second ID that comes back into it, repeats it a few times with the acceleration, and then goes eventually to that high note that is always very effective in getting crowds pleased. So let's listen to that part. Statement. Again. Yeah. Yes, what I like there a lot is that after his high note, which works very well, of course, and once in a while you need to do it to build tension, he goes also back to his initial A sharp, the A sharp from the beginning, so to really hit again that Dorian mode. So that's really nice here. I love that sound of this high A sharp sounding there. It's really nice. And then, well, the tension gets higher and higher and higher, so he gets into this pattern, which is a typical R&B lick, I would say. So it's cool, it's very cool. It's something R&B players like. Also, again, Gerald Albright, he also has kind of the same patterns, this rhythmic thing. So let's listen to that. You can just use this, maybe do it in a few keys, and this always works. let's start again from this high A sharp and move on because I like it so much. Yeah, that. Yes, I'm back to the first ID. And there he ends back on this very first ID of the B, G sharp and the C. Here also the C sharp, sorry, the C sharp, the B and the G sharp. So there is one big line, one big thematic event in his solo, and he goes back to that for the last few bars of his solo. And then he hits again the A sharp, which is also his second thing in his main theme for this solo. Okay, plays a few fast notes with here a sequence to get again on the A sharp, hitting here really well. The A sharp also an octave higher, the one I like so much, and then he ends with a typical blues lick. Let's listen to that. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and as you can hear by the crowd, the solo worked out very well. So that was Everette Harp. I hope you liked it. I hope you can get some rhythmical inspiration and really inspiration to build solos with not so much notes. Like, for example, a lot of the real jazz players, not so much funk-ish jazz players or fusion players, the guys who play mostly bebop, I think there's a lot to be learned from the effectiveness of a few notes that can be learned from the more funky players like, again, Everette Harp, Maceo Parker, Charlotte Albright. They know how to use notes very effective. And it's not that they don't have this real jazz language. I think you can see that quite well just due to the fact of a few things like the Dorian thing and also to, yeah, just in general, some notes, how they construct it, but they really know how to develop on one pattern, on a few notes, and then play with that. So it's mostly question and response. Maybe that's a little thing I can give you to practice. Also, if you are playing bebop or swing, just try to do a bit of question and response. Build it over 4 bars that you start with kind of the same statement. By the way, Charlie Parker, I think in his Billy's Bounce solo he does this also a few times. It's a very effective way, and it's not only for funk players, but I think swing players can get lost by just getting through the changes and trying to hit all the right notes without having a very clear theme. So that's the conclusion of this tutorial. I hope you found this interesting. Leave a comment, or if you have some other thoughts or you saw some other things in here, just let me know in the comments and I'll be glad to respond. Bye.